This video has been requested, so we're delivering. And we do have a webinar on how to understand kinky sex, beginner and more advanced. So scroll down below and get that information. I'm Amanda Pasciucco. I'm a sex therapist and I am a clinical sexologist with a focus on kink-conscious relationships. Today, we're going to be talking about BDSM, what's a collar, what's the meaning behind it. So what is collaring? What is a collar? I'm sure you've all heard of a collar before, maybe for a pet. In the BDSM community, we also have a term called collaring. The dominant would ask their submissive to put a collar around their neck. This is a symbol, somewhat like an engagement actually, in vanilla couples. It's a symbol that they are together and they're in a power exchange relationship. And even a collaring ceremony, which we'll do a video about, is something that can happen in private or public. People really take collaring very seriously. So the basics of collaring are that it's something that goes around the neck. Usually it's leather or sometimes it's rope. You will see also metal collars, and there often is going to be a lock on it where the dominant would have the key. The collar displays that the submissive has been chosen, and it also is a symbol of love from the owner to the one that is being owned. Often the dominant chooses what the collar is going to be based on the submissive. So some people have a master-slave dynamic. Some people have a dominant-sub dynamic. Different collars are used for different things. Some are very cute with like a bell on them. Some people use a posturing collar, which goes under the chin all the way down to the base of the neck so that it keeps the submissive's head in a specific posture. There are collars with rings on them, collars without them. There are collars that have branding on them, and sometimes even chainmail collars. So if a dominant is crafty, often they make the collar for their submissive, or they find a special person who's like a Leatherman or something like that so that they can get this created. Have you ever heard of collaring before? If you have any stories you want to share, I would love to read them, and I'd love to know where you're from if you want to comment below. The act of collaring is one in which the dominant and submissive choose the way in which they will put the collar on when they get together. So if the submissive comes in, the dominant might ask them to kneel in front of them. They might say something, the submissive might be in a certain posture. Other times, a dominant and submissive, the submissive would stand, the dominant would face the submissive away from them, and then put the collar around the back of their neck. Some people have collars that they wear all the time, so we'll get into that. But the act of collaring is usually a ritual that the dominant and submissive set together that is meaningful to them. Typical DS protocol is that the collar stays on throughout the entire scene. And sometimes a scene can last a whole weekend, so submissive would keep the collar on until the end of the scene, or if someone safe words out. There could be safety where you need to tap out. There could be something where you're going out and you don't want to wear the collar in public. So there are different reasons that people take the collar off that isn't part of the scene, but usually collars stay on. The symbolism of a collar is that people are choosing one another. There are submissives who collar themselves as a way to show that they're their first love. Often the DS type of collar is a symbol that they're together, similar to maybe an engagement ring in the vanilla world. So where and when do you see collars in regular life? In everyday life, the collar will look subtle. Sometimes I see people wearing chokers that have an O ring in them. When I see the O, I think of the story of O, which is often talked about in the BDSM community. Also, if there's a permanent anklet on someone, I start to think, that might be a collar. It's a very subtle way of showing that you are choosing to be owned. And of course, if you want to see leather collars out in public, it'd be best to go to a dungeon event because many people aren't going to wear a large posture collar in public because it's not seen as acceptable. Thank you for staying until the end. If you like this video, hit like, subscribe, and the bell. We release new videos at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Scroll down, click on the link to get the BDSM checklist if you haven't done it already. And also the webinars on kink are down there as well. I'm Amanda Pasciucco. You can say hi on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, at The Sex Healer or at Amanda Pasciucco. I so appreciate your comments. Thank you so much. Have a great week.